So, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Minju Kim. I'm from South Korea, and I'm a full-time PolyU student. Thank you for joining the summit, and I will be your host for the closing remarks today. I joined the Global Youth Leaders Summit last year, and I realized that taking initiatives to change the world is a big courage, and it also requires support from so many people, especially the people who notice the people like us, the brave ones who decide to make a change in this world. And C's Foundation has helped us greatly in many aspects to support the summit and also the students like you. The foundation has donated to Global Youth Leaders Seed Project Fund and sponsored student projects across the world. And in appreciation of this generous support, we would like to invite Professor Ben Young, the Vice President of Student Affairs in PolyU, to the stage and present a small gift of gratitude to the Seed Foundation. May I also invite Mr. K.O. Cha, Board Member of Seed Foundation, for the souvenir. Thank you. Thank you, Professor Ben Young. Please remain on stage. And thank you, Mr. Cha. In equal appreciation, we would like to invite Mrs. Yak-Lin Chen, the judge for the Global Youth Leaders competition this morning, to the stage for a small gift of gratitude. Mrs. Chen, please. Thank you, Professor Ben Yang and Mrs. Yak-Lin Chen. Another photo. Okay. Yeah, please be seated. Now we would like to invite all of you, the global youth leaders, to interact with some of our role models. While you all have experienced the whole week's training and collaboration, workshops, mentorings, and we are happy to invite other global leaders who inspire us to be who we are today. So may I invite Professor Yang again to be the moderator of our session of the Leaders Dialogue. And we are also honored to have Mr. Howard Ling, the Chief Consultant Social Enterprise Business Center for HKCSS. And Ms. Rachel Wolf, Response Director for Bangladesh Refugees from World Vision International. And Mr. Joseph Lin, Executive Committee Member of the GYLS Association. And I will now pass the microphone to Professor Ben Yang.
Okay, thanks, Ms. Kim. So once again, welcome to the afternoon sessions. I believe all of you actually had an excited weekend and hard-working weekend as well. And also this morning, I was told that all of you actually had a wonderful competitions and then exchange idea with our leaders. Now, this afternoon, the topic is really, I think it's a very good topic. It's a leaders dialogue. So it's the way ahead to action. So I'm very pleased that we have the three distinguished leaders. And what we're going to do is indeed, it is a dialogue, but before the dialogue, I will invite each one of them to share with you, say for around 10 minutes. And afterwards, then you can keep the Q&A sessions. We will do it right after the three speakers speaks, and then followed by the Q&A sessions, right? So without further ado, just now they introduce the speakers. We can make it, as afternoon sessions, and then afterwards is I think afterwards is actually the closing, So we can relax and then easy, just call us by first name. You can call me Ben, And then we have Howard, Rachel, and Joseph. So we go by the order. Let's invite the Howards to have your sharing. Let's once again welcome Howard.
Yeah, thanks, Ben. So it's my great honor to share some of my experiences, like today's topics, how to turn visions into actions. I guess I first started my first work at Leslie right after I graduated because I was trained as a food scientist. And then that's why I worked for the food factory for almost 7 years. And that was the time that my factory manager told me that, I got enough science sense, but I don't have business sense. Then I said, also, what is business sense? I said, I'm not a manager, I'm just a scientist. So, this is a food factory. We got to sell things to the kids, sell things to the consumers. So we got to have business sense. So I turned that advice into actions. Then I did my MBA in the Chinese U in Hong Kong. And then right after I graduated, and then I worked for LVMH for another 5 years. And then when I worked for LVMH, my manager again told me that I don't have social sense. So I said, that's a joke, right? So how can I turn this advice into action? Should I be a social worker? So at that time, I guess, I further asked my manager, I said, why I need a social sense in LVMH? Because this is a luxury company. We are selling handbags, perfumes, and cosmetics, and wine and spirits. He said, behind every design, there's a social element. Did you notice it? Then I started to think about this. And it's true. So I then came back to Hong Kong after my assignment in Switzerland. And then I started my first social enterprise in Hong Kong 12 years ago. And that is the first vegetarian business that hires the deaf. We train the deaf to be chef, and we call them the hearing impaired. So I learned a little bit sign language so that we can know how to communicate with them. And we train them to be our waiter and waitresses. And I'm glad that after 12 years of the business is still there. And the most happiest news that I have is I got a call from Starbucks and Maxim's 5 years ago that they want to recruit some of my staffs. So that is the happiest moment in my life. And I said, I'm done, I can quit my business. And it's true that I quit my business. I passed my business to my manager, who is hearing impaired. And now he is my partner. He is no longer my employee. So I guess from vision to actions, it takes lots of, I would say, preparations for you to do that. And then slowly by slowly, I also go into the Hong Kong Council of Social Service after doing my businesses in different industries, that I become the chief consultant to help different NGOs, non-profit organizations in Hong Kong to start their social businesses. And that was the time that the Hong Kong government started 5 different social enterprise funding schemes for the non-profit organization to start their businesses with capital, cash, and operating subsidy. And then my role is to look at the proposal, give them advice, and see whether the proposal is feasible. And finally, we put it up to the interview, and then we get the funding. And luckily enough, I am able to do around 35 of these social enterprises in Hong Kong now. And I can see the sector going from 50 social enterprises in Hong Kong 12 years ago, and now it's up to 650 social enterprises in Hong Kong. And although I'm managing 30 of them, from time to time, I usually meet them maybe once per month, sometimes maybe twice per year. And I'm happy to be part of the team simply because of this bonding and the connections that we developed since the proposal, that when we start writing about this. So the first questions that I always ask all these potential ideas, from ideas into proposal and then proposal into actions, is what's the difference? What's the differentiations? How to make your business to be the first. Being the first doesn't mean that you had got to be the best. Being the first depends on the perspective. For example, when I first started my business, I told every single reporter, every single media during the interview that we are the first vegetarian business and social enterprise in Hong Kong. But actually, I'm not the first person to start the vegetarian business in Hong Kong. There's many entrepreneurs who started that long time ago. But I guess I'm the first to put social enterprise concept into the vegetarian business. So I become the first. And then when I started another one in Hong Kong U, which is, again, like a replication of the vegetarian business, but this time I'm hiring the autistic, the deaf, and also the elderly. Then again, when I talked to the media, to talk to the reporter about this business, I said, again, I'm the first. He said, no, you are the first, like 5 years ago, in the Happy Veggies business, so why you are the first again? I said, I'm the first vegetarian business in the universities in Hong Kong. Among 8 universities at that time, there's no vegetarian restaurants. No, there's vegetarian options within the menu, but there's no. Again, they say, oh, then you win your case, so you're the first. So you see, this is the kind of training that I have, that I convince every single nonprofit organization in Hong Kong to think about how to be the first, in the first place. And that goes into another questions about asking the people you want to help, that whether you can turn their weaknesses into strengths. You see how their weaknesses become the assets, and further develop that assets to be the strength, and to put you into the first positions that you can win the market shares. Or at least from the marketing perspective, you can convince your consumer to at least come and look at what you're doing. So I guess that's pretty much my social entrepreneurship journey in the past 12 years, from a food scientist in Nestle, and then until the time that I started my own business. And during this 12 years time, it's very interesting that I went back to Nestle again, I went back to LVMH again, but the second time I went back is not for the job. I went back to Nestle, I still remember 4 years ago, that we are talking about one corporate social responsibility project, that they wanted to donate some of their tofu and the milk and yogurts to one of the social enterprise that is doing food bank actions. So my connection helps, because that manager and that director are still there, although they are promoted to a senior level. That makes the conversation even more easier. And then LVMH, that I'm back again last year with the initiative from France talking about corporate sustainability, that how LVMH can create social impact in the society, like the local community in Hong Kong, rather than selling luxury handbags at a very expensive price. They're looking at how they can change their materials, how they can source local, there's lots of strategies. So again, the reasons why I want to highlight this connection, because again, they turn visions into actions. They have a vision maybe from France, but they have a vision from Switzerland, and then now they want to do it at the local level. Like today's competitions, in the morning that I met some teams that you're doing very great. When I look at your performance, it recalls my memory back in LVMH and Leslie, that we are working with the international staff, international team, that everyone contribute their best and their strengths, their background. Everyone makes you a unique person to work with. And finally, you deliver your idea. So that's why I told Ben today that I'm glad to be here in the morning to witness your performance. And I hope that I'm looking forward to our dialogue right after my sharing. So I better stop it here. I know that we have more speakers to share. So thanks, Ben. Thanks, everyone.
Okay, thank you, Howard. Thank you for your sharing. Next, we move to Rachel. Rachel, actually from the World Visions, and thank you for coming all the way from Bangladesh to Hong Kong. Rachel, I pass the times to you now.
Thank you so much. Good afternoon. I can see that most of you are awake after lunch, so I think we're lucky. Yes. It's also a great honor for me to be among you. Working with young people, I think when you get to be our age, we need your energy, your ideas, your fresh perspectives to also be energized and continue to do the type of work that we do. So it's really a pleasure to be among you today. My name is Rachel. I do work in the nonprofit World Vision. We have a very large presence here in Hong Kong and about 100 countries around the world. Many of you, I think there's about 25 nations represented in this group. Very exciting. And many of you come from countries where there may be a World Vision office. We work with children around the world, primarily children and families who are affected by extreme poverty during normal times, as well as when there are disasters and conflicts and people's needs are really at the extreme. That's the type of work that I'm doing now in Bangladesh, serving almost 1 million refugees who fled their homes with almost nothing and are now trying to survive and rebuild their lives in southern Bangladesh. So I want to talk a little bit about first the NGO and relief sector. This is one part of how we make an impact in the world, but really increasingly we recognize that nonprofits, charities, NGOs, we need to partner with the private sector, with social enterprises, of course with governments, local communities, the changes that you have been working on, the exercises you've been doing as part of this conference, you know very well that change doesn't happen overnight, and it doesn't happen unless we work together with all parts of society. So that's no different in the NGO sector. NGO work, nonprofit work, we know this has to start from a place of compassion, wanting to connect with people and make a change. Compassion, love for our fellow human beings, and also a sense of social responsibility that we need to give back and help those who are less fortunate. But I'm here to tell you today that increasingly any global NGO, even local NGOs, are using best practices from the private sector. Because when you are trying to do a lot with smaller budgets, and you are trying to save lives, the stakes are high. More than in any other industry, NGOs need to be efficient. We need to measure our effectiveness. We need to make every dollar count. So World Vision for decades now has been applying best practices on people management, supply chain, efficiency measures, finance tools, you name it, we use it. And even myself, even though I have spent most of my career in the NGO sector, my master's degree is an MBA. I went to Wharton, one of the top global business schools, and intend to continue my career in the nonprofit sector for the rest of my career. So I encourage you, whatever line of study that you are in your home country, if you want to go into this type of work, get the best education you can. When you think about graduate school, finance degrees, corporate operations degrees, they are incredibly useful, maybe necessary, if you wanted to go into the charity sector or create a social enterprise. So that's one thing. The second thing, I heard somebody say courage. You're all here. Many of you have come a long way to meet peers from around the world and be challenged and compete with your best ideas. So I think you already have this necessary ingredient. You are all people of courage. But as we think about leaving this amazing few days of conference and sustaining your excitement and your enthusiasm and your ideas, turning them into action, what does courage mean then? So I want to leave you with a few thoughts. First is to be a person of courage, to get to action. You must face your fear of failure. Face your fear of failure. All of us as human beings have fear of failure. But people who are tenacious, have grit, are resilient, are those who experience failure, but then get back up over and over and over again. And I think you're all young now, but you will see over the next 5, 10, 15 years, the more you fail, the more you will succeed. If you limit your failure, if you let fear take control after you fail, you'll have a boring life. Am I right? Yeah. You'll have a safe, comfortable, and, in my opinion, kind of boring life. You're already here. You're on the right track. You are preparing yourself. You're investing in yourself to be a person of action. When that failure comes, remember these words. Remember our time together. Get back up and try again and again and again. It does get easier. So that would be one key advice to you. One of the ways to do that and to keep your courage strong is to make sure that you have a group around you. This may be colleagues, mentors, peers are very important. Keep in touch with each other after you leave. You may see each other somewhere in the world a few years from now. That network of people who understand you, understand your impatience for action, your eagerness, your big dreams. You need to surround yourself with similar people. Not everyone will understand. Why do you care about all these issues? It seems so complex. Can we really make a difference? You believe that you can. Surround yourself with others who also believe that it's worth it to keep trying, who believe in you, that you have something to contribute. Some of the dreams that you have, some of the visions, may not come to pass for many years. There may be dreams in your heart, even inspiration that you got from this conference. In 20 years, something amazing and huge will happen. How do you get from here to 20 years from now? You can't just take a nap and then wake up and it happens. Every day you have to work hard. Every day face your fear of failure. And that's where these colleagues and friends will really help you. A little bit about my own story. Some of my colleagues from World Vision are here, and I was sharing with them, you know, I'm not the smartest person, and I have spent my career doing many different things in the nonprofit sector. So I can't really say I'm an expert. I don't have a PhD in a field, you know, I'm not an engineer or anything like that. But I have one ingredient that has helped me throughout my career. And that is, for some reason, I'm incredibly fearless. I don't know why. Maybe sometimes it gets me into trouble. But this made me the kind of leader that is always pushing for action. And sometimes my colleagues, who are much more experienced and have expertise than I, rely on me to help turn their vision into reality. One time I had a colleague, he was brilliant, amazing, had this wonderful idea. He said, Rachel, to do this at World Vision, I need budget of $10,000. I said, okay, did you fill out the requisition form and go talk to the vice president? And the vice president at that time in this department was very scary to most people. He would be like, rah, 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 rah. So this brilliant, experienced person was almost ready to give up because he was too scared to go ask for the money. I was very junior at the time. I had no experience, but I said, give me the form. I will go talk to him. I went to his office. I made an appointment. I walked in. I said, sir, here's our proposal. You can see the cost if we don't take advantage of this opportunity, and I think it's going to reap great benefits. Here's the one-pager. What do you think? And I was standing there very confidently with a pleasant smile, and he said, oh yeah, Rachel, approved. I agree. Go. So that 1 5-minute exercise allowed my brilliant, talented colleague to realize his dream. My contribution was very small, but it was absolutely essential. So you also, as fearless, courageous people, be confident in yourself. You don't have to be the main contributor. You don't have to be the technical genius in a project, but perhaps your small piece may be what turns that vision into action. Never underestimate your contribution. Likewise, maybe you will be the technical genius sometime, and you will need someone less experienced than you to help you get across the finish line. Never be too proud to ask for help. That's also something that has been my secret weapon. I am never shy. I am never afraid to ask for help. We all need help. If you become too proud or too nervous to ask your colleagues or to reach out to a donor or to make a new connection that will help you achieve your goal, you probably won't succeed. So that's really important. The last thing I will leave you with is, even as you have these big, audacious dreams and you work hard every day courageously to turn them into action, don't only focus on the big goals. Do not only focus on the big goals. It's easy for those of us in the change business to become very idealistic. And this is good, but also dangerous. I have seen colleagues and other friends get burned out, disillusioned. I don't think this can ever change. I'm not sure, this policy restriction, it's too difficult. Don't let your idealism destroy the change you can make right now. Most change in this world is gradual. Don't be discouraged and say, we couldn't integrate every playground to be friendly for the elderly, and I don't think Hong Kong government catches our vision. If you shift one playground and pilot and set the example and change 100 people's lives, that's incredibly powerful. That might be the thing that you can do now, today, this year. And from there, you can continue. So you must be relentlessly practical. Relentlessly practical. Some of your peers who are just dreaming, they may give up. You must keep your big dreams, protect them, but be practical. What is that next step? What is that next action? I want to do something huge. Yes, but what can I do today, this year, as soon as I graduate? Focus on that, because those steps will lead to bigger actions, bigger impact. You need the encouragement of your small wins to propel you to the next step. You will get tired. You're only human. You will get distracted from your mission. Make sure you have those small, modest achievements to celebrate, to mark, and then go for the next goal. It's like trying to make social change. It's like climbing a mountain. You don't get to the top of Everest by saying, I have so much farther to go. No, you might even die on the trail. That's terrible. In fact, the elite hikers who make it to the top of Everest, very dangerous, they tell us at the top, at that most dangerous place, they are only focused on the next one step. The next one step. If you focus farther than that, it's actually could be life-threatening to you. So when you are really working on those big projects, just look at the next step. Don't worry about the red tape that's coming next year, or where is the funding coming from in 6 months. What can we do today? What is the next step? And let that propel you to the top of the mountain.
Okay, thank you, Rachel. So, Joseph, once again this morning you were one of the judges together with Howard, and thank you for spending the whole day with all the young people. So we pass the time to Joseph now.
Wow, thank you, Rachel. After your speech, make me really nervous. So, I'm Joseph, Joseph Lin. Maybe if I am now 5 years younger, I will sit next by you and listen to Rachel's speech and asking questions. So really lucky that today I'm here to giving some of my experiences to you and share some of my experiences. So I'm 27 years old. I started to work as an intern, then come out for work when I was 18. First of my job is working in JP Morgan's. I don't know anything about economics, politics, marketing. It's always about learning, right? When we are student, we learn, we ask questions. But one thing we need to be clear that there's no dumb question. Don't be afraid to ask. This is one of my mentor told me that when I was in JP Morgan. I was so quiet and always sitting in the corner. I don't dare to ask. I don't dare to speak. I don't even dare to talk to people. So one day my supervisor just come to me and ask me why. Why don't you interact with the people, with your colleagues? I say, I don't know anything. I don't want to ask. I don't want to be dumb. So, and then the supervisor told me that there's no dumb question. So just ask, and everyone will know the question and know the answer will answer you. So now I'm an entrepreneur. So I quit JP Morgan's when I was maybe 3 years ago, and then I started my own company called Nogos, and it's based in Taiwan. And now I just start up security firms in Hong Kong. I just want to tell you guys one thing. Today our topic is transfer vision into action. Everything big is come from a small ideas, like the phone that you use now, Apple, Samsung. It's just an idea. Don't afraid to think. Don't afraid to come up with ideas. It's good. But first you need to know what is the problem and identify the problem before you go to the next step. Because problem, after you solve a problem, there will another problem coming in. So failing to answer a question, or failing to complete the story or complete your work is fine. Learn from it and try to correct yourself. Failure is not really the thing that you need to be afraid. The fear that you need to be careful is after you fail. How can you get up? You guys need to learn, and also me, I am learning. Yes, there's some of my experiences, and also hope you guys can be great in the future, and don't afraid to fail. Also, don't be rushed. We are young, and also I am young. So a lot of senior and the elders told me, don't be rushed. I'm already rushing, doing that. I can running into my office to my colleagues. I just run to them and then ask them questions. I don't even call. I just run to them and ask them questions. I want the answer. What is that? It's good, but don't be rushed. And also, you need to understand the people around you and to know them. Because oneself is too small to complete great things. You need your friends, you need your partner, you need your colleague. So understand them. If you want to be a leader, don't afraid to facing problem. You need to take the responsibility to face the problem. And when they cannot answer the question or face the problem, you have to be the one to step forward. To face all the problem, people, questions, and everything. So yes, be brave and don't be rushed. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Joseph, and thank you, the three speakers. I just want to make a response before the Q&A sessions. I heard Rachel and Joseph mention the words failure. It's true that we can actually learn from mistakes. Just a little bit of sharing. In fact, when I started my teaching, that was 20 years ago. When I start teaching, universities like that. After you get a PhD, they believe you can teach. You can, but you have no way of training on teaching. You actually, for your past years, you train on research. You're a good researcher, but it doesn't mean you're a good teacher. But somehow, all the professors in the university, they expect you to teach. So I have no idea how to teach, Therefore, when I started teaching, I sort of talked to the students and identify some of the excellent teachers. As well as identifying excellent teachers is not good enough, because I was planning to sit in some of their lectures and try to learn something from the excellent teachers. But I also identify some of the teachers who teach badly. And then I also sit in the lectures and try to learn some of the things that, how come they can teach so bad, And then I actually learn a lot. I learn a lot such that I would not, teach the same thing if I'm good to teach. So you can learn from mistakes. In other words, you learn from other people's mistakes. rather than your own mistakes, So that's even better. So of course, you can always learn from your own mistakes, but you can also, look at other people and look at the failure and sort of analyze and then identify how come they actually fail, and then try to learn something from there, all right? All right, okay. So now we actually move on to the Q&A sessions.
Hello, my name is Jason. I'm studying engineering
Engineering, okay.
in PolyU.
All right, thanks.
And I have a question to Ms. Wolf, or if I'm pronouncing it correctly. And my question is, because you're working in NGO that is dealing with people who is seeking for help and people who actually needs help, but at the same time you're in a position that you have to make decisions for not just 1 or 10 people, but for many people. So when you're dealing with people, and at the same time when you're dealing with numbers, how can you be not trapped in numbers? Because sometimes I feel very bad when I have to deal with number to make decision on actually living human life. So I was just wondering if you have any guidance or if your knowledge about how to be not trapped in numbers, but really look into individual people among those numbers. Thank you.
Excellent question, Jason. And since you're studying engineering, unlike me, you'll actually know something about something as you start your career. So I'm jealous. That's a great question. We do this in the humanitarian field through a practice called accountability, humanitarian accountability. So I think, Howard, you were the one that said we also have to listen and engage the people that we are supporting. And this is absolutely true, both in development and emergency work in NGOs. We cannot simply say, oh, there was a drought, you must need water, here, truck in water, have a nice life. We must make plans in consultation with the affected communities, right? And for World Vision, this means also listening to children. Children and young people's opinions and views, how they see their vulnerability, is as important, maybe sometimes more important than what the adults think, in particular the adults in power. We must listen to women, we must listen to children, we must listen to the minorities within the affected communities, things like that. And this is a dialogue that is ongoing. So as programs are being planned, during, consultations during, how is it going? Are we actually making an impact? Are we delivering it in a way that is respectful to you, that you appreciate? And are we empowering the people that need help? Survivors, particularly in disasters, are not merely victims. They are, as the affected community, they are usually on the front lines of helping their own families, their own communities. And we need to partner with them and empower them to make decisions that affect their own lives. This is really critical. And then finally, making sure that their feedback, complaints, God forbid if they are harmed in the way that we are delivering aid, that these can be captured in ways that take into account literacy levels, ages, vulnerabilities. So this is quite a sophisticated modality now that has emerged in the humanitarian sector. But I think your question fundamentally is still not an easy one to solve. On one hand, as I said, we are trying to scale and help as many people as possible, reach as many people, right, with life-saving interventions. Or if we're moving to more sustainable livelihoods or education, we need to deliver value for money. But people must be more than numbers. And the way that I do this in my work every day is, as response director, I'm planning with my team. How are we reaching the nearly 300,000 refugees we're serving every day in Bangladesh? How are my 350 staff and 700 facilitators, how am I empowering them to interact with the refugees? But I, as the leader, must also be there among the people. I can't be there every day and just shake hands and talk to mothers. That would be great. I must also lead the team and meet with delegations and make the planning. But if I'm not on a regular basis meeting with the people we serve, something will get lost. I will forget. And then I will not make the best decisions. So it's always a balance. I think we must sometimes take a step back and remind ourselves, who are we serving? Empower them, make sure their voices are heard. It's not about me. It's not about us as the deliverers of aid. It's about them. This is their story, and their future needs to be in their hands.
Okay, yes, there's a hand over there. And one over there. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Deniz from Turkey, and I want to thank you for all of you for this great speech. It was really inspiring. I'm actually working or leading a project on refugees as well, and something really catch me on your speech that you said we need to be efficient, like every dollar counts. And I find myself keep asking, how can I measure my social impact? How can we measure our social impact on our projects? And I keep asking this question to people as well. And I'm not exactly satisfied with the answers. I think no one exactly can answer, but I just wondering what are your opinions about how to measure our social impact?
Very, very carefully. I'll give you an example. Well, first, you have to think about who is determining what makes a bigger impact. The point of view matters a lot. So one example is when we think about feeding people, right? Food security. It's one of the basic sectors of any relief work, and certainly with refugees. It is much cheaper to look at simply delivering the kilocalorie needs for one household than it is to look at the per person cost of preventing or treating malnutrition, or helping a mother learn how to properly feed her infant or young children. But these are apples and oranges. You really can't compare. And when we dig one layer deeper, we realize just feeding people and making sure that they are alive and that they have their daily kilocalorie needs. If you're talking about making sure that infants and young children have that brain development and get the proper balance of nutrition, and pregnant and lactating women so that the next generation is born, survives, and prevents stunting, all of those things, the more expensive intervention may be more important, depending on your context. So, who is doing the measurement? Sometimes in food security, for example, it's one of the more male-led sectors in my industry, right? The women are doing protection and they're doing education, and then the male leaders are like, food, we truck in the food, we're saving the day, helicopters, woo! You know, it's very macho. Or they're the water engineers, right? And so those sectors may have a very strong male perspective. Maybe the protection sector, we actually need more men. Because if you don't get the buy-in of men and boys, you can't change gender ideas and you can't prevent violence in communities. So we need to understand whose perspective is this. The perspective maybe is coming too much from the donor, who is far away in a global capital and doesn't understand the context on the ground. And then finally, you can't compare apples and oranges. Interventions are very different. And just getting to the lowest cost, you could end up doing more harm in the long term.
Okay. Please mention your name and where do you come from and what are you studying? Yeah.
Okay. Hi, I'm Liana. I'm from Singapore. I'm studying occupational therapy. So my question isn't directed to anybody, but like based on your sharing, right? All of you had a chance to be really successful in the private sectors, but what made you like change your path, like from a pure profit-driven and like like profit-driven to like to what you guys are doing now? Like, so what triggered that? Yeah, what triggered that change? Yeah, thank you.
In my case, I guess when I started the introduction at the beginning, with the questions from my superiors asking social sense, business sense, all this inspired me to think more about not just my sector. That's one thing. The second motivation for me is to develop that compassion, really actually from my family. You know, when I first reach out, before I reach out to help or to understand different sectors, actually I reach into my family. I ask myself how much I understand my father, how much I understand my mother, how much I understand my brother. I have only one brother. And how much I understand my grandma and even my grandparents. And it's very, very little. Because sometimes you're so close to the family members that you don't even ask these questions. And then I feel very bad. That is the first compassion question that I'm asking myself. You know, what am I doing now? You know, I'm going out, I'm busy at work, you know, they call me for home dinner or something like that. You know, that's very simple things that I can do. So at that time, I told myself, charity starts at home. But where is my home? Is the place that I live is my home? If I don't even understand what my parents are thinking, what my grandparents are need, you know, that's the question that I ask myself. The more I ask, and then when I go to work, I appreciate every work I do. You know, in last year, LVMH, you know, I learned a lot. But by the time that I make that decision to jump from that comfort zone into the entrepreneurship sector, the first thing that I told myself is to actually find my inner self, to find my own identity, rather than, you know, going out to make something out of my dream. Actually, at that time, I don't know what my dream is. I just want to find who am I? You know, what's my identity? So I guess that's the ultimate motivations back in like 12 years ago when I make that decisions. So when you have developed that compassion at the very, very beginning, when you start to manage your own business, I find one amazing thing that comes back to me again and again is that every single colleague that you are trying to recruit, they call yourself boss, right? Because now you turn yourself into a boss overnight because you start your business. And the first thing that I told every single staff that I have is that I'm not your boss. Every single customer is your boss because they come here and to pay for the food and they pay for the retailing business and they pay for everything, right? So I am just the money keeper. I keep the money on behalf of everyone, and then at the end of the day, I pay for the rent, I pay for the salary, I pay for everything. If there's left over, then I call this as profit. So from that time on, we have no boss in my company. And that is what I call as a family.
Okay, there's questions over there, right? Yes.
Okay, hello. My name is Gea. I'm majoring in food safety and technology, and I want to ask a question to Mr. Howard. I think what you do really inspires me because I somehow think a similar way in my dream. In that way, I somehow want to ask, like, this might sound very naive, but if probably after I graduate, I want to do like something similar. I want to ask for your advice in terms of, I think I probably, or maybe for like other friends here too, maybe their background is not like, they don't really know deeply about like how to find funds and then like the business technical. We don't really have network to that area because maybe privately for me, like I know more networks to more like scientists, like very scientist background, but how can I start to like make connection when I just graduate and maybe I don't really have things, I just have my ideas. Yeah, I just need advice, thank you.
Okay, thank you for your question. Actually, we share a similar background, right, in food science or technology field. And I would say the first answer to you is that you come to the right place because this is the place that you can meet students from different nationalities, different countries, and different disciplines. So I guess being here is already the beginning. That's why in the morning sessions when I deliver my comments, I said one thing, which is the friendship that you can treasure after the competition, right? Competition, of course, you have winners and you know, champions and first runner-up and so on and so forth. But that doesn't matter, you know, that's just the beginning. And I think joining activities like this in the university with different students from different backgrounds. That's the first thing, that you can get access to more friends with different backgrounds, so you get that knowledge. I don't know whether that will be, added up to some kinds of business ideas or business potential in the future. But as Joseph said about, you don't need to be too rushed, right? So you can wait and see. So that's one thing. But I always tell students to prepare at least a PowerPoint or proposal as something that you want to do in the future. I have a theory called a soy sauce theory. You know what is soy sauce? Soy sauce is the condiment for Chinese food. You know, is a fermented juice, from soybeans. And if you ask every Chinese family at home, they have a soy sauce at home, saving somewhere without refrigeration, right? And you never know when you need to use it. Maybe you use it for the dumpling, you use it for the meat, you use it for the vegetable. But whenever you need it, there will be one bottle at home. So I always use this PowerPoint. I have that actually in my computer, that I keep modifying it. For example, if I see some very beautiful slides that some other teams are doing, I will take a picture, and I'm taking a picture not to copy the concept, just to help me to memorize, at least to remember what is great about that particular slide. And then when I go back, I modify my slides. And then when I see, wow, that's a very good way to present the financials, then I take a picture, and then I will go back and see how poor my financial is. And then I try to modify it. So whenever you have the opportunity that maybe your professor or your teachers or some of your friends ask, oh, should we go for the case competition? Should we go for this entrepreneurship fund? Should we go to this youth business development, whatever? There's so many awards at the moment available in the market to help young people to start the businesses. Then your soy sauce will be very handy. So that, as I always say, that is a very good strategy to keep a good soy sauce at home. And the next thing is that you always develop good friendship, not just with your friends, also with professors and teachers. They are great resources. They have great networks. You know why we are here? Because actually professor and teachers' invitations. So they know lots of people in town. If you tell them more about what exactly you want to do, what's your dream or what's the area that you're looking at, sometimes they may tell you about, oh, there's a luncheon next week. Would you like to join as a helper? They say, yeah, why not? Then you join as a helper. Then maybe during the social occasion, the professor will ask you to come over to meet who, and then give you the name card. Maybe that's the beginning. So that is how I got to help all these social enterprises in Hong Kong, actually with my own connection, also with connections with some other non-profit organizations. Then you will start to develop your network much better.
Okay, so there are two hands over there, so one after another.
Okay. Hi, I'm Hannah. I'm from Germany, and I study international development. I'd like to hear from Rachel, kind of like your reflections on being somebody from the global north who works in a context that isn't your own, also in like a very big organization where I guess you can't avoid, like working or employing certain like blueprint top-down approaches.
Thanks. Yeah, developing local leaders and, in general, leaders from the South is absolutely critical in the nonprofit sector and actually in private enterprise as well. Multinationals are working very hard to do this. For me, it's one of the most fun things that I get to do, working in the field, working in a country in the South, or the developing part of the world, as someone from the global North. And I think when you are doing that intentionally, and your staff and your leadership see that that is your goal, that takes away any tension. I myself was raised very much as a global citizen, and so I have some tools in my toolkit to help me do this as well. And I think I would encourage all of you to, this opportunity obviously gives you a lot of cross-cultural experience, but take advantage of any opportunity you can to continue to learn languages back in your home country, to develop close friendships with people from other nations, other groups within your own countries. This will make you a cross-cultural, competent person, which in today's modern world is an essential soft skill, regardless of any industry you want to go in. It can make the difference in your career. Whatever you do, you will be the person that is considered for an overseas assignment. You are the person that will be asked to come and do a difficult negotiation, right, with a multinational group. You may be asked to resolve conflict in your workplace. All wonderful opportunities. But I think to your specific question, as a woman leader in particular, I have the opportunity to lead by example. And in the nonprofit industry in particular, making sure that we have women, there's plenty of women doing the work in disasters, but developing female leaders in conservative cultures in particular can be extremely difficult. But when you have a female leader, just the presence of someone like me, my staff are telling me I'm staying longer in this response because I see your example, or I'm trying for the next job, and I'm like, oh, okay, I didn't even know. We need role models. So it's not just a gender thing, it may be your ethnicity or your background. You can be a role model for people and you don't even realize it. But when you do that intentionally, it's very powerful. So those of us from the North have a critical role to play, but you have to do it intentionally, and you have to understand the sensitivities and be ready to navigate them.
Okay, yes, please.
Hi, I'm Alessia, I'm from Italy, and I'm currently studying psychology. And actually, I have a question for Joseph, because I think that everyone here today can agree that we've had experiences as young people where we didn't really feel valued or respected being young. Like, they just assume that since we're young, we're dumb and like we need to learn. Obviously, you have a lot to learn, but like we have something to give too. And you being a very young person in a business and being very successful, I was just wondering if you had any stories or tips on how to be respected as a young person, especially when you're working with people that are older than you, and maybe, you have something to teach them and sometimes they don't take it very well. Like, if you have any tips regarding that. Thank you.
That is also the question that I faced before. One thing, need to be careful. Don't be lazy. So in nowadays, teenagers or our age, we don't facing the problem that the elders faced before. They have to think about the place for living, food, water sources, and all the things that they need to face. We don't. So they will considering us as this young generation. We are lazy. We don't work hard for our life, right? We want to sleep more. We want to play more. And we want to just spend time on Facebook, internet, and even Instagram. Try to avoid that. Try to do something that is make you can closest to the society, closest to the maybe politics, to know more about news. But you need to be a critical thinker, to know what is right and what is wrong. Don't just blindly looking on the internet and see, hey, I think this is right. No, you need to have your individual thinking. And when you're facing the older or the senior, like me, I always facing the older and the senior, it's fine. I always tell them that, yes, you guys are successful, but now we are talking about innovation. We are talking about breakthrough into technology. That's need new blood. We need to have the courage. We need to be brave to think that the older generation not there to think. We don't have the boundary. We can think big, but we need to do small. That's the thing that I want to share with you guys. Don't be afraid. Just go ahead, and don't be afraid that people will look down on you or what. It's fine. Be yourself. That's the most important thing for us, for the younger generation. Thank you.
Okay, we have more hands over here. Yes, please. This one and then you're next. Okay.
Hello, my name is Romario. I'm from South Africa, and I studied law. My question is to Mr. Joseph as well. It's based on the question somebody asked that side. Like, what are the challenges that you faced when you moved from JP Morgan to what you're doing right now, and how did you deal with those challenges? And secondly, did your time at JP Morgan assist you with any network connections that you're currently using now?
That's right. When I was in JP Morgan, I working in the buy side. So when someone want to sell something or what, I can say that, hey, this product or this list code or this IPO will worth thousand times when you invest. You can the PE will go to 10 times. The PB is only 1, something like that. But it's all lies. It's just they try to manipulate with the numbers to come up with a great statistic for the people to see that, hey, this is good. I can help people to make a fundraise, and then I can sell the product, then I get the money. This is why I left JP Morgan. I left JP Morgan because I don't see this is what I want. The corporation or my company is called Dolphin. Dolphin Security and Dolphin Asset Management. My idea is that I don't want to be that kind of person that just want to make money, but something that really match with the society and the law, and also it's not a fraud or lies to people. I just want to be real. I don't make money. I never make money to the secondary market. I only try to go to the really good corporation and talk to them, and will give them ideas how to fundraise and how you want to exit. But first of all, I need the corporation or the company is have a good underlying good product, and the board itself and the bosses itself is not just want to make money, but something great or something really can provide goods and services to the society, to the market. So I don't really using the network in JP Morgan because I don't really like the people to think about, hey, what if I do that for you? What is my commission? What can I get? And that's not something that I really want. Yes, of course, I got some friends in JP Morgan, and they are good. They are good people, but I think it's really about the mentality and the environment, and also because our society is a lot of money driven. And that's why I think we need to change, and we need to think more and see, after we're making money, what can we bring back to the society. Thank you.
Okay. In front, yes.
Hi there, my name is Aaron Feigelman. I am from US and I study mechanical engineering. I had a question for Joseph actually regarding Dolphin, your company. I'm curious as to did you have the idea for it when you were working at JP Morgan and you worked on it while at JP Morgan and decided to leave when you had some momentum? Were you by yourself? Did you have partners? I'd like to hear a little more about that.
Wow, this is a great question. When I was working in JP Morgan, I go out and facing a lot of customer and the people that against JP Morgan that we are negotiating and arguing regarding to the deals and all the things. And actually, the partner that I have now is not my friend before. We were in negotiating something that we have disagreement. And then after the deal, I find something that really interesting is that my partner is really want to do something and changing something. It's not only about making money. She actually is a she. She follow rules first, but she know what she wants to do and what she doesn't want to do. That is why that I quit my job and go discuss with her that, hey, I have this idea. I don't want to just doing things that talking about money, but I want to do something great and try to change some people ideas regarding to the Hong Kong financial markets. So in Hong Kong financial markets, people know that in Hong Kong, especially for the local, they think all the money is making by the greater enterprise. The bosses and the rich get even rich, and the poor get poor because of the financial market, because of the secondary market. I want to do some changes, but it's hard, but I want to do it. That's why I call my company Dolphin, and our logo is actually a dolphin. Yeah, I want to bring the message to people that I am nice and I'm friendly. I don't want to just, hey, I want to make money. I only want to make money. I want to do some help. I want to do some changes. Yeah, and also this is from my partner message that we come to an agreement that we want to do. Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
Good afternoon. So my name is Henry. I'm a local student and I'm studying logistics. So I have a question to ask. So thank you for all of your sharing. It's very inspiring, and I can see that like all of you guys, like most of you, you get involved in a private company and then you get into a social entrepreneur. So my question is, what is the biggest differences or like the obstacles that you need to face when you change your mentality, like as you were working from like a private company to a socialpreneur? Yeah. So like, what is the biggest differences or mentality you need to change for it? Yeah, thank you.
I think each one of you could share.
I guess the first challenge is whether they recognize you as who you are or at your face value. When I work for Leslie, people look at me half as Howard and half as Leslie because they need some values from Leslie. That's why they come to me, right? And then when I work for LVMH, people see half of me as Howard and half of me as LVMH. But when you start something on your own, you don't have that second half immediately. So people just look at you at who you are. And the company that you are creating at the very beginning, there's no value, right? Because people are not responding to any things that they can really see. So the first challenge I would see is how your friends and any business partners or customers see you as who you are. And then sometimes you will be disappointed by some of the comments that they make, right? And some of the friends that are supposedly friends, they're no longer friends. Because they cannot get any Leslie or LVMH values from you anymore. That they got used to getting those values. They get used to asking all these questions about this. And now you are just who you are, and you become alone. And I guess that's the first challenge that you got to face. And that's the challenge I face. And that's why I always say that it's so important to develop your inner strength. Otherwise, you are just following others. You are the expert of others, and you are not expert of yourself. So spend some time with yourself, and I think that will be one of the solutions that can overcome that challenge. And you'll feel much more confident.
Okay, Rachel and Joseph later on.
My number one advice would be count the cost. Count the cost. I was lucky because my experience in the private sector was as a reporter. So I never made any money, right? So when I moved to nonprofit sector, I said, salary's not bad. I can feed my children. I can buy a used car. What's the problem, right? But in World Vision, because World Vision is an excellently run, very well-known NGO around the world, it attracts people from the top companies. In the US, we hire from Microsoft, from Yahoo, from Starbucks, marketing people, operations people, and most of them take a significant pay cut to come to World Vision. If they haven't counted the cost and planned for it, They may only stay 2 or 3 years and be disillusioned and leave. So if you are, especially if you're going into social entrepreneurship, any kind of entrepreneurship, you need to prepare financially for that, right? You need to put some savings aside, you need to adjust your lifestyle. But any kind of socially oriented work, plan for it. Put some savings, understand what it will mean to you. We know from the research that happiness does not come from having money. We know this. It's a fact. There's a certain point of income in every economy. I think in the US it's $70,000. It's a good amount of money. You know, after that, one more dollar will not increase your happiness because you already have everything you need and even some nice creature comforts, right? So for you, you have to understand what that is and then have some tough conversations with your loved ones, with your friends, with yourself. If you're a spiritual person, you know, reflect on it. But then once you count the cost, commit. Commit, tell your story. Say it out loud to people. That gives you credibility. They believe that this is a commitment, not just, you know, 6 months and then, oh, they'll go back to JP Morgan, you know, they'll go back to, you know. I think that's the best way to keep inspiring yourself and have that credibility.
Well, this question I was asked it by a student last year, the summit last year. So I've been thinking about that question because that time I wasn't able to answer these questions. So it's really about when you being a social workers and doing the social work. Don't think about what you can get from the society, but what you can bring to the society. And as entrepreneurs or as a leader of a company, I will give you one suggestion: that having compassion and to bring things to society is important. But one thing, you need to be able to take care of yourself first. Yeah, and just like a car, like a body, you need oil, you need engine, and as a body, you need a heart to pumping the blood into your body. First, you need to take care of yourself, that you have a stable income, or it's not much that you might want, but you need to stable income. You need to be taking of yourself before you can taking care of the society. That will be something that I suggest you. But don't stop. Society work, social work is really great, and it will make you happy. But take care of yourself first. That will be my suggestions. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Bella. I study here in PolyU, but originally from Indonesia. I would like to ask about something that you guys have been talking about. Something about being fearless, having courage, and having the courage to step forward. But I was just wondering on when did you decide that you guys are ready for the next step, like in terms of mentally and also technically, how do you determine that, oh, I'm ready to move forward? Because as university student, we've been studying, preparing ourselves for our future, but we never really come into the real world and knowing are this enough for the real world? Thank you.
That's very good questions. Because there will be some kind of assumptions that maybe starting our own business or making that change is suitable for everyone, right? Or maybe is idealistic for everyone. Right? But sometimes I will take one step backward. Maybe that's not idealistic, or maybe that is suitable for everyone. I think to making that decisions takes an overall analysis, or at least an overview of where you are and who you are. And that part of who you are and where you are actually must not just the decision by yourself. You got to include your family, parents, brothers and sisters into that decisions. Otherwise, you will become a very selfish person, right? You just make decision out of your own desire. So sometimes I would say I take one step backward and ask myself, will that decision make any sense, not just to myself, whether I am responsible to my family? You know, I still remember that when I make that decision, I was supposed to make that decision when I quit Leslie. I cannot do this because I have a girlfriend. And I make a commitment that we are going to get married in 5 years' time. So you see, because of that decisions, because of that responsibility, then even though, you know, I have a big dream, I have a business idea, I cannot do that. So I waited, and then I joined LVMH. And then when I joined LVMH, we broke up. During the process, and no. So when I finished my work at LVMH, I have nothing. Then I asked my parents, I said, do you need money that I need to bring home? And they said, they're not retired yet, so I still have time to think about that. I mean, have the luxury to do that. So I always say that it's always a luxury thing. To make a decision that make yourself happy is very, very luxury. You know, when I ask my parents, when I ask my grandparents, they don't have that luxury. So we are very blessed. We have good educations and good environment, you know, good timing, you know. So, but nothing is coming, you know, with no conditions. So I don't know whether I answer your questions, but I just want to let you think up more about that should not be the ideal solutions. The ideal solutions can either be just, because when I look at my wife, my father-in-law, my wife's father, and he worked for the government, for Hong Kong government for 50 years. Even up to now, he worked part-time for that. I still remember there was one time I took him to Macau for a site visit and traveling and eating, you know. And that was the time the big typhoon hit Macau. So nobody can go. But he heard that next day, at the early morning, at the pier, that they can wait for the ferry to go back to Hong Kong, and he was supposed to have that part-time work in the morning. And he told every one of us that he just went outside to see something happening outside. But actually, he took a taxi with $500, 500 Hong Kong dollar taxi ride from Grand Hyatt to the pier. That was the most expensive taxi ride that he can take. And he is earning, I'm sure that that's much less than that part-time rate. And he's trying to work for the government next day in Hong Kong. And he make it. He make it to the first ferry. And right after that, you know, I have tears in my eyes. He has no choice. He raised the whole family with 5 members of his family, including my wife and those daughters and brothers and sisters for the rest of his life. He get used to that kind of rhythm. He get used to that kind of responsibility. So he see that as the responsibility to work. So no matter how hard it is, he go back. And after that, you know, that was a big inspiration to even my work and to my life.
I'll try to keep it brief. I think you need to ask yourself, what is the worst thing that could happen? Sometimes we're facing a big challenge. We're afraid of the consequences. If we go through that thinking, well, the very worst, if this complete thing fails, then I'll need to rebuild my savings over 2 years. Then you think, okay, I could do that. And probably the worst will not happen. Maybe it'll be less than that. Then you suddenly have that courage to move forward. But like Howard, the cost may be too high. But now you're better informed. You've actually done risk mitigation for your plan. Some social impact work, you may be advocating in a very dangerous area. The cost may be that you get arrested and you spend time in a foreign prison for several years. That's a pretty high cost to pay. I hope you know what you're getting into. But I think most of the things that we do, it's actually the cost of failure maybe is not as scary as we imagine once we ask that question. So ask that question and then move forward boldly. If the answer is within reason, something that you can withstand, then now you don't need to be afraid anymore.
Yeah, so as Rachel say is hope for the best, prepare for the worst. So when I left, again, JP Morgan, I come to start up my firm, I failed. The first year I failed. And I come up to me is that after failure, what bring you up? First thing is responsibility. When you face failure or you fail, you need to take care of the mess that you come up with, the problem that you need to solve. This is something that I would say, when you fail, take care of the mess first. And then the day that you fail, you can go home, you can cry, you can take a shower and yell to the ocean, whatever. But the other day, wake up, think about the mess and go take care of it. When you're trying to take care of the problem that you left over, the failure that you left over, the mess that you left over, you will learn from it. And it will pack yourself up and ready to go for the next round. So this is some of my suggestions. But now I learned one thing is prepare for the worst. You need to think about every decision you make is like a gambling. I think you will facing upside or downside. You need to ask yourself is that when you lose, can you afford it? Will you be able to take care of the mess or take care of the failure or the loss? You need to think about and be clear. Do the math. Think about the future and make the decisions. Thank you.
Oh, well, time's flies, okay. Due to the time limitation, we allow the last questions. Any pressing questions? One last questions. All right. Okay, yes. Okay, yes, Mrs. Clark. We pass the mic to you, yes. No, not.
Looking at the news today, what would your advice be to the students, because they're confused with a lot of fake news and a lot of reasoning from both sides. So how would you advise the students or people who have a good heart, who want to do something? What would be the best thing to do? Do they go and voice their opinion peacefully, or do they go in a very forceful way? What would your suggestions be?
Okay, these questions open to the floor.
I think it's first in digesting the news or other information. As a former reporter, I can say, know your source. Know your source. Nowadays, everybody has an agenda. Even news channels, newspapers, you need to know which corporations own them and what hidden, subtle agenda may be there, unfortunately. It's painful as a former reporter to think about this, but there is no unbiased news source, right? I mean, there never has been. So be discerning. Also, if you have one viewpoint on a topic, study the other viewpoint. You may not agree with it, but you need to understand the whole story and the whole perspective. Then I think when sharing your view, when getting involved, again, count the cost. I would certainly advocate in every context, be as civically active as you can while keeping your safety in mind. There are ways to get involved, but also you can think about the long game. And you have to also understand your future goal. I think this generation, my children's generation, everything that you post on social media will follow you for the rest of your life. Many people, maybe your generation now is very savvy, but your older siblings maybe didn't realize this, and there are consequences. You may not be able to run for office, you may not get a job, even personal behavior can really ruin your future chances. So be wise. You must be wise well beyond your years. Have a conversation with your 30-year-old self, your 50-year-old self, even your 70-year-old self. Like, what I post today, what I speak up today. Because there's a flip side. If I don't speak up today, what will I think about in 10 years? Or I have children someday, they're going to ask me. Part of the reason why I got involved in the AIDS sector was because of HIV/AIDS. And I thought to myself, my grandchildren are going to ask me someday, Grandma, what did you do when the global AIDS crisis was at the peak? This is an issue that I must address for my generation. So the price of inaction can be just as serious or more serious than the price of action. So you have to look at the whole picture.
Respond? Howard?
I always say that I agree with Rachel about that personal trait and the brand and the thing that every word you say representing yourself. So you manage your own brand. But the only thing that I always share with, even they have different views or different opinions, I always ask whether they care. If they care, that's okay. Then I will ask, what's next? Do you share? Care is just a mentality. Share is action. What things you can share after you care? You can say you care about this, you care about that, you have different opinions, that's fine, as long as you care. What I'm really afraid that there will be one day that you don't care. Then my question is, can you share? And share with actions, share with love, share with compassion. So I guess this is the platform that we can do this kind of thing. And at night, when you are alone, when there is no one around you, you always remember that there's a sky, there's ground, there's sea, there's ocean that are looking at you. Then you are not alone. So you're responsible for yourself.
Okay, yeah. All right, okay, once again, thank you for the three speakers, Howard, Rachel, and Joseph. Let us give them a big round of applause. Okay, thank you. So in here, I'm going to close this session for the Leaders Dialogue, the way ahead to action. I'm sure all of us actually enjoyed this session. Thank you.
So yes, once again, thank you to the speakers and thank you to all the students who asked the questions. I think we had a really meaningful time. And on behalf of PolyU and PolyU staff, I would like to invite Professor Ben Young again to the stage to present some souvenirs to our speakers. First of all, may I invite Ms. Rachel Wolf to receive a small gift of gratitude. And secondly, I would like to invite Mr. Howard Ling to the stage for the small gift of gratitude. Thank you, Mr. Ling, and Professor Yang, please be seated. Yeah. Right, so ladies and gentlemen, this is the time that we've been waiting for the whole week. We know that you've been working very hard for the past couple of days on your teams. And if anything, we hope you enjoyed the process of making the product in your projects and making new friends from all around the world. We would now like to wrap up the Global Youth Leaders Summit by presenting the awards to the teams that have presented very well this morning in the competition. There are 2 awards, silver and gold, for each track. And our distinguished guests will present the awards for you. I would like to invite Ms. Rachel Wolf to the stage again to present the Silver Award for Quality Education. The Silver Award for Quality Education goes to Team V4U. Woo! Thank you, Ms. Wolf. Please be seated. I would like to ask one student representative from the team V for you to share your thoughts.
Okay. First of all, thank you so much for the great applause. Uh, and that's more exciting. Even you got the second, but you were the first in the announcement. But whatever. First of all, I would like to thank you, PolyU, for providing the people from 25 countries or 26 countries to come up together. We could never even think of it that we will be working with the different nations, different people, which we never knew about it. Even the country we worked, I just came to know about the name of that country just 2 days before. That was even more exciting. And thank you, Global Leaders Summit, Youth Summit, for providing us the platform to show up, to meet up, and I hope to show a message through this platform that just imagine for once a world without borders. Like this is the half of the world almost without borders. They're sitting together, they're enjoying together. Can you feel the difference, any kind of difference here? No. They all are together. What they are youth leaders. And yes, I can make one thing sure. The future is of youth leaders. And yes, now you are leaders and it's time to make more leaders. Thank you so much, PolyU and the host. Last but not the least, my team for working 3 days. Basically, if we count the working hours, it will become even maybe more than 1 week in just 3 days. Thank you so much, PolyU, Global Youth Leader Summit, and we are trying to change our vision into action. Thank you so much.
So I guess we'll be applauding for like 5 times per award. We have like 5 hours to go to, and I hope we had even enough time. So, So secondly, I would like to invite Professor Asman Mak to the stage to present the Silver Award for the Sustainable Communities. Yay! And the Silver Award for the Sustainable Community goes to Group 4. Please come down to the stage to receive the awards. Thank you, Professor Esmond Mak. Please be seated. And it's time for student sharing.
First of all, I'd like to thank you, the GYLS LI, for organizing, as well as PolyU, our sponsor, YLEADS Association, our honored guests, and our speakers, Howard, Rachel, and Joseph. Thank you very much. And to all the youth leaders that came all around the world just to attend this summit. Just for more information, basically our aim was to create a intergenerational playground that is user-friendly for a certain garden area with residents, and it's called Prosperous Garden. And so I'd also want to applaud everyone else who was in the sustainable community, because everyone's ideas were still creative and amazing. And it was very fun to see that we had one aim to create a playground, but everyone's ideas were unique on its own. So I think everyone should applaud themselves. A little bit off track, but because I have the mic, I want to talk about. I want to talk about time designing. It doesn't mean that we have to meet everyone's needs and design ideas. We have to figure out what does a community want? What is the most important? And then design a model that is the most suitable for everyone. And as Joseph said, I think in life, like, you should take your time. I think, like, in life, time is limited, but there is no right timing. Everyone has their own time to do a certain thing. Education. For me, I took 1 year extend to graduate, and following Rachel, what is the worst that could happen? I mean, I still have 1 extra year to have half price on MTR, food meals, and also movie tickets, and there's also more opportunities for events to grow, like the GYLS. As for Howard, he said to find yourself. I think that's very important. Last year, I had depression and anxiety, and basically, I think everyone puts a great pressure on education. Like, it doesn't matter what's our career track, like, or even what we're studying at the moment. We'll probably switch to careers, and maybe some people realize in the real world, maybe what they studied is actually not what they really want to enjoy. And I think that's okay. And breaking down is also fine. And finding who you really are, your weaknesses, accepting yourself for who you really are, and finding what you really enjoy. I think that's really, like, what life's about. Learning more, being open-minded, and yeah, thank you.
Thank you, and congratulations to Group 4. I would like to invite Mr. Howard Ling to the stage to present Silver Award for Poverty Elevation. So the Silver Award for Poverty Elevation goes to the Team Bulbs. Congratulations. Time for group photo. So thank you, Mr. Ling, and a representative from the students. They're still deciding. I think Max should do it.
I guess, yeah, thank you very much for the experience. I guess first of all, I want to thank my teammates, Team Bolt right here, we out here, we got it, we made it, Honestly, to be honest, so yesterday, the professor and our mentors came in to gave us we had to present a mock presentation of our idea, and then they roasted us pretty badly. So at 8 p.m. yesterday, we did our business model, and yeah, here we are. So I don't know, but I guess does anyone else?
First of all, I think I thank you for all amazing teamwork. Yes, especially for all everyone, just we are very maintain our dynamics, like we tired, we cry, we smile, we run around this building. This building is amazing, but when we are stressed, we don't see this building amazing anymore because, but yeah, everyone is like come from diverse background and just bring the idea and all the whiteboard have been written, but just arrest and yeah, like we work really hard, we sleep late, we get up early, we feel bad. But yes, this is our result. Thank you so much and thank you for all support from mentor.
Yeah, you guys can go back to your seats. Thank you. Yeah, so that's all for the silver awards, and now we're going to present the gold awards for each tracks. Yeah, so I would like to first invite Dr. Stephen Chen for presenting the gold award for quality education for all. Yeah, so the gold award for quality education goes to the team Transformers. Thank you. Please come to the stage up front. Thank you. Dr. Chen, please be seated.
Hi, first of all, I would like to thank all of you sitting here today. Oh yeah, it's been nice to meet you all. And secondly, I would like to thank my amazing group mates. You have done an amazing job. Thanks for all your efforts. And also, thanks to our honorable judges. You have given us some meaningful advices that will be bear in mind in the future. An important thing that I would like to share with you on behalf of our team. Our team name is Transformer. We want to transform something. And also, our project name is Transform Education. It is Transform ED. So our project basically works on sexual education in the Philippines. And we have seen an increase in the HPV infection rate and also the teenage pregnancy rate, while the world is decreasing. So we see this phenomenon, and that's why we want to work here. Basically, we built a website in one day, thanks to our great technical engineer who, can we give a round of applause? Yeah, he basically did everything. Yeah. Basically, it's my personal reflection. I've ever imagined whether we'll be standing here to receive the award, not for glory, but it actually means that we have already made a change. I want you to like reflect on our own that actually we individuals are actually tiny, but we can make a change. We 100 people here, if we all make a little change, it will be a big change to the world. Yeah. 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 Thank you all. It's been great to meet you. Yeah. Thanks.
Okay, that's for all. Thank you, Team Transformer. Please go back to your seat. And I would like to now invite Mr. Joseph Lin to the stage to present Gold Award for Sustainable Community Track. Right, and the Gold Award for Sustainable Community goes to Group 2. That was quite a scream. Please come up to the stage. And time for group photos, please. Thank you, Ms. Charlene. Please be seated, and I'm sure we have quite a lot to share from this group.
Oh my God, we made it, guys. So like, I think we all can agree that like this is like the best cherry on top that we can have ever like asked for, yeah. Like, but then like the main part, I think that we will like hold in our hearts forever is like the process. Like, oh my gosh, like, this is just insane. Like, thank you. Like, yeah, this may just be gold, but like the friendship we made is like even more gold. Like, y'all are golden. Yeah. So like so like thank you like PolyU and GYLS for this opportunity. Like, we really learned so much, and I don't know, you just have this feel that you'll just never forget the experience. Like, you'll never forget the lessons you learned. Like, not just the not just this project, but like, like all the speak. Oh yeah, like all this. But yeah, it was basically just thank you.
Congratulations, Group 2.
Okay. And also, I would like to thank you, Alfie, our instructor, because he because he taught us to think more and like giving us many ways to think, and also like think more, like try to explore ourselves and to like find our ways to trick out find all the problems.
We'd also like to thank him for not giving us group names, because like we have the most underwhelming group name so far.
All right, thank you guys so much. Please give the microphone to Kim, and you guys can go back to your seats. So last but not least, I would like to invite Professor Ben Yang to the stage to present Gold Award for Poverty Elevation. And the Gold Award for Poverty Elevation goes to Team Charge for Change. Congratulations. Please come up to the stage. Thank you, Professor Yang. Please be seated, and let's have one speaker from the group to share the stories.
Thank you, Global Youth Leaders Summit. I don't know what to say or where to start, but we didn't expect this coming, because during the 3 days that we had, on the first day we had a certain idea of creating TAS for the country, which was the country that we chose to work to implement our project in. And then during the 2 days that we had left with, we tried to come up with a certain idea of using simple sources from the country, which you can see it from that side. So I didn't expect this, because we only did it in only 2 days. And I was like, are we going to make it or not? So yeah, I'm impressed. And thank you for creating this platform whereby everyone can come and we join hands together and ideas so that we can create something which is totally impactful and meaningful to everyone. Thank you so much, and thank you, my team too.
Right, please be seated. And congratulations to all the participants, and I mean everyone. As a former participant, I know how stressful it was to spend so many hours with people you virtually never heard of or knew of, and come up with our project. So if anything, I really hope you enjoyed the process of this. To recap our memories from the summit, we have prepared a short video. And you might see some familiar faces, so please remain calm if you see your unnoticed facial expressions on the screen. We all love you. It's fine. We've seen you in the student halls too. So yeah, and we hope you enjoy the video. Thank you. That's a wrap. Yeah. Wow. So I know that everyone would like to stay a little bit longer and enjoy each other's company, but sadly, this will be the official end of the Hong Kong part of the summit. We hope you learned what it is like to transform vision into action, and or how to act as a change maker, making the world a better place. Yeah, so thank you for bearing with me for the whole closing remarks. I was running around taking photos, and thank you so much for allowing me to take photos of you throughout the summit, and I really enjoyed my time with you guys too. I'm going to pass the microphone to Kim so that she can tell you more about the logistics and the checking out process. And as for me, this is goodbye. So let's have a fun dinner later, and thank you. See you next year.